Welcome to Vegan Finds, where we're going to turn this into this vegan Irish stew. Okay, welcome back to our channel. We are going to be making a vegan Irish stew in anticipation of St. Patrick's Day. We've got Glutenberg stout. Obviously, we can't use Guinness. Guinness may or may not be vegan. I know at one point they were using fish bladder. I don't know if they still do, but it's definitely not gluten-free. So in this case, we are using the Glutenberg stout in place of what would be traditionally a Guinness beer. We're also replacing potato with something a little bit healthier. We are using a purple top turnip instead. We're going to have some parsnips. We'll throw in some carrots, onions, mushrooms, and we are testing out a soyboy veggie bacon. I'm going to start cooking that up. I'll do that off camera. And Doris was very excited to try it because she's never been a bacon eater, but she thought, hey, this is vegan, let me try it. We'll see. So stick around, we'll show you how to put this together. Okay, so we are going to start chopping up our vegetables here, and basically I just want to get them into some form of uniform cubes because we want them to cook fairly quickly. Like I said, if you don't want to use turnips, you don't like the flavor of turnips, you can obviously use potatoes. That's much more traditional. We're trying to be a little bit health conscious here. Turnips have a huge amount of vitamins in them. We're also going to be adding some celery to this. So the first things that are going to go into our pan are onion, celery, and garlic, which is, you know, your standard kind of holy trinity, or one of the holy trinities. My dog is whining here.
Did you get the celery?
Did not get the celery yet. I was working on the turnip. So I'm going to cut up these vegetables, and I will be back to show you how to put everything together. Okay, so chopping up my onion. I had two very small onions, so normally I would just use one, but these, look at, these are tiny. They're, you know, basically slightly bigger than a golf ball size. So I'm using two of them, but basically one medium onion, you know, chopped up. I got 4 cloves of garlic already chopped, and we are getting ready. I will say that if you have the time and the inclination to chop the things like the parsnips, the turnips, or potato, well, if you're using potatoes, cut them the same day. If you're not, if you're using turnips, you can cut them overnight. Ooh, this one's a really potent onion right here. It's making my eyes water, which by now you guys are probably used to hearing me say I'm crying, but I'm not crying just yet. But it'll make this recipe go a lot quicker. I mean, the cooking time is basically, you know, the way you like your veggies done, because the veggies are the root vegetables are going to go in after you've already added your holy trinity here of the celery, onions, and garlic. So I'm just going to get this all set to go, and I'll show you how to put it all together in a flash. Okay, so we have some oil heating in the pan. We're just going to add our celery, onions, and garlic, and we're going to let that cook for about 5 minutes until they become translucent. Once they become translucent with the onions, we're going to add 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. So before I add my flour, I'm going to add our cooked soyboy bacon. Doris has already tasted this, and let's just say, not a fan. But she's going to be a trooper. She's going to try it anyway. But she would not eat this as a bacon substitute, as we discussed on like a BLT. Making rice paper bacon would be a lot better. Alright, so I'm going to now sprinkle on a 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour. Kind of making like a mock roux here. Stir that.
We have a great rice paper bacon video. If you haven't seen it, check that one out. That was definitely the best kind of bacon I've had as far as vegan gluten-free bacon. This ain't it. This definitely ain't it. Now, some people may like it. The texture, I'm going to let everybody in on a little secret. Tempeh is good for like 3 things, in my mind. Like a substitute chicken salad, Tempeh's perfect. Tempeh buffalo wings, really good. Cauliflower wings are still my favorite. Or, and this is ribs, Tempeh ribs. Everything else, I'm just kind of like, I'm not down for the Tempeh thing, so I don't know. And that's not without trying. I think I've tried like everything as far as like doing Tempeh, and just not here for it.
Okay, so right now we're going to add 2 cups of vegan vegetable stock. Now you may add more later. A lot of it depends on how thick you like your stew, as it were. And while Doris is stirring that, we'll let that come up to a little bit of a simmer. Do you know where the bay leaves are? Two's always the standard answer. Alright, we've got 2 bay leaves in. We're going to add our beer, our veggies, and tomato paste. Now we're using a whole can of tomato paste. There's nothing I can't stand more than you get a recipe that calls for 4 ounces of tomato paste. The cans are always 6. You end up wasting 2. I'm not going to waste this. I'm using the whole damn can. That's just the way it goes, people. Waste not, want not. Alright, you want to drop those bad boys in. Yeah. Alright. Ooh. We're definitely going to have to add more liquid. We always have a problem with figuring out the right pan size. I should say this is 100% my fault, because I said I don't feel like using the big pot. And of course, we could have used a bigger pot. Wait, I got to add the beer. Now, we did have a beer incident. Thankfully, I had an extra can. Doris knocked over. I don't know what they make cans out of these days, but they're so chintzy. The can fell on the floor and literally exploded all over the place. So we were covered in stout. Don't add any more yet. Don't add any more yet. She's adding more because she wants to cover up that beer flavor. I know how she works. So we're going to let this simmer now for 15 minutes or so. We want the veggies to have a little bit of bite, but of course, let them cook down to your preferred texture. Okay, so hopefully I can edit out the expletive that occurred in the background. Maybe you didn't even get to hear it. But my wife just realized that our daughter asked for laundry detergent to be sent to her at school, and we forgot to do it. Not quite sure how this kid has done 40 loads of laundry in a month and a half, but she probably used half a bottle for each load. So I'm adding in a teaspoon of dry thyme. I'm going to add just a little bit of rosemary to this as well. A half a teaspoon of rosemary. We're going to give this a stir, and we're going to let this cook for, again, 15 to 20 minutes. You can see it's a fairly thick already, which is nice. I like it almost like a gravy-like texture. I'm going to turn up the heat just a bit to get it to that simmer stage. And we didn't actually need a bigger pot. I'm happy about that. I'm going to see if I can adjust the lighting here. That's better. So you can get a good sense of this. Smells good. Smells really good. So anyway, we'll let this simmer. We'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so I'm glad I tasted it because I forgot a key ingredient in this, which is a bit of sugar, because the stout is very, very bitter, and the sugar will help mitigate some of that bitterness in the stout. So I'm adding half a tablespoon to this. If it's still too bitter for you, add a little bit more. I'm also going to add a touch of black pepper to this. It's getting cooked down really nice. Vegetables still need a little bit more time, but let's get some pepper in there as well. Give that a stir. You can see this beautiful dark rich color that the stew has, just like a traditional Irish stew. A little bit better. I think it actually needs a little bit more sugar. Because the really bitters of the beer really are coming through quite significantly. So I'm going to add another half a tablespoon to this. Taste one of the veggies right now. Oh, that was a turnip. Oh my god, it's so good. So this just needs a couple more minutes and it will be done. So before I plate this up, I'm going to add a pinch of salt to this. Maybe a little bit more than a pinch. As you know, we don't cook with a lot of salt, but this is definitely bereft of salt. So I got about a teaspoon of salt in there. We're not 100% against salt.
It's just not 100% in favor of it.
Right. We just try and limit it as much as humanly possible. You know, we don't want my blood pressure to rise too much. So I'm going to plate this up so you can see just how delicious and beautiful this gravy is on there. I mean, this is really something else. There we go. If you want to thin it out, you can with some extra. Doris lovingly throws some parsley on top. Finish it off with a little bit of parsley, and there you have vegan Irish stew. So if you like these kinds of recipes, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok. Give us a thumbs up, share with your friends, leave a comment. Please don't leave one of those porn comments. We're getting quite a few of those too.
What?
Yeah, where like links to porn videos.
Ew! We're sorry, we had no idea.
I delete. They usually get deleted, but I had to delete one last night. Did I say follow us on Facebook, Twitter,
Instagram,
and TikTok? Be well, be safe, enjoy, and we'll be back.